Many of you guys might be expecting Sarah, but Alli and I, aka Erin, will be taking over the podcast.
Previously on Serial.
People told me contradictory things about Jay. 3 women who knew him from Woodlawn, including one teacher, told me unflattering things about him. So maybe Stephanie's relationship with Anon, how affectionate they were with each other, the constant talking on the phone, the prom prince and princess stuff, maybe that was gnawing at Jay.
In today's episode, we will be discussing most of the characters such as Mr. S, Dawn, Jay, and Adnan. They have been introduced throughout the series, and some of them have been overlooked by Sarah and even the criminal justice system.
4 weeks after Heyman Lee was murdered, Mr. S was on his way back to his workplace. He pulled over near Lincoln Park to use the restroom. He ended up walking 127 feet into the woods. He had stopped in front of a log and noticed Hayes' body. He called the police.
There are a few weird things about the story. One is the fact that he stopped to go to the bathroom when he was so close to his work and just had left his house a few minutes before. Another thing about this situation that doesn't add up is the fact that many detectives who knew where the body was couldn't even find Hay. You could only see a partial amount of her hair. Also, Hay's body was buried behind a log, but Mr. S said he stopped in front of that log.
I looked into our new suspect, and Mr. S had been in trouble with the law for streaking. It is possible he was going back into the woods to streak. Also, 127 feet into the woods may sound far, but when it was investigated, you could still see the street from where he was.
Although Mr. S seems strange, I do not believe he committed the crime.
Agreed. Now that brings us to Dawn.
Dawn was Hayes' boyfriend at the time around her death. They started dating 13 days prior to her being killed. He was a high school graduate and worked at a shop in the mall in which his mom owned. Although we do not have any evidence supporting the fact that Dawn committed the crime, it is still important that we investigate him and the relationship during the time she spent missing.
January 13th, the day Hay went missing, Hay wanted to stay the day with Dawn. However, she had plans to go to an interview in a wrestling match. Hay left Dawn a cute note telling him that she was sorry she had to go and that she will page him when she's home. Dawn never got the letter.
The note Hay wrote to Dawn was evidence of them being on good terms the day she was killed. Also, Dawn's mother tested as his alibi and said that he had been working that day. Although this seems kind of sketchy, there's no clear motive.
That leaves us with the 2 main suspects, Jay Wilds and Adnan Syed. I believe Jay Wilds committed the crime.
I also believe that Jay Wilds committed the crime.
According to Daily Mail, Ronald Lee Moore was a convicted rapist and murderer who was released from prison 10 days before Heyman Lee went missing. Ronald killed a teenage Korean girl just like Hay. The state convicted Adnan of the murder of Hay, even though Adnan was the quote-unquote golden child and Moore was a criminal. It's so weird how someone like Ronald Lee Moore can go unnoticed and how quick the state was to believe Jay.
If Ronald was convicted of killing Hay, the state could have been blamed.
Of course, the state took Jay in and overlooked the inconsistencies of his stories.
The state provides Jay with a lawyer, so Adnan was basically already convicted before he even went to court.
Exactly. So is it possible that Jay was the actual killer and the state was just so caught up in trying to cover up if Ronald actually did it, when really the killer was right under their nose the whole time?
It's 100% possible. If Ronald murdered Hay, then why would Jay even know where the car is? Why would he randomly pick Adnan for saying something that they have no correlation to? Jay picked Adnan because Jay did not want to get caught for the murder of Heyman Lee.
Jay told the police that he had helped Adnan bury Heyman Lee. Jay and Adnan were friends but not necessarily close. They were smoking buddies and would often hang out. Jay tells the police that Adnan killed Hay. When Jay told the police his story, it had many inconsistencies. In episode 1, Jay says, during the conversation, he stated that he was going to kill that. I took it with context. It didn't send out in my head any. Since Jay and Adnan were acquaintances, it does not make sense that Jay was the only person Adnan told. If an acquaintance was to say they were going to kill their ex, maybe Jay didn't want to snitch, but the story should at least stand out in Jay's mind.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense to me that Jay wouldn't tell someone or at least consider it as a big thing, unless the conversation never even happened in the first place.
According to Jay in episode 1, Jay had Adnan's cell phone and car while Adnan was at school. Later on in the day, Adnan called Jay and said, "Hay is dead. Come get me. I'm at Best Buy." If Adnan was killing Hay, then where was Jay? Just waiting around for Adnan to kill Hay?
Also, the time that Jay said that Adnan was killing Hay, Asia said that she saw him at the library.
It's impossible for him to get from the library to Hay in time, and I believe Asia over Jay.
Agreed.
In episode 4, Sarah says, quote, Then Jen and a friend go see Jay. He's at work at a video game store. She tells Jay, "The police want to talk to me. What do I do?" At trial, Jen says, "He told me to go down there and tell them what I know. Tell them enough to keep me out of trouble and tell them to go see Jay. Send them his way." It is so odd that Jay was the person Jen went to. If Jay was innocent, then why would they go see him? Unless they were trying to keep Jay's innocence. Jay is the person everyone goes to. It is odd that Jay only want the police to talk to him. People lie under oath all the time, so it is possible Jay told Jen something completely different just to keep Jay's innocence.
Agreed. Jay's friends, such as Jen, could be just trying to have his back and keeping his innocence. According to New York Times, Jay Wilds told the police that after he helped Syed bury Lee's body, he went with Syed to ditch the car at a grassy lot in a residential area of Baltimore. Wilds led the police to the car about 6 weeks after Lee was killed. Private investigators hired by Berg asked Erin, a turf physiologist from the University of Delaware with a PhD, to examine the grassy lot, along with photographs of the car from the day police discovered it. Numerous factors, including the freshness of the tire tracks, the freshness of the grass blades visible in the threads, and the condition of the grass beneath the car, led Erin to believe that the car may have been there for a week or less.
This act could have been a part of his whole plan. He could have had the car hiding in a different place. Then when the police started asking questions about Hayes' car, he moved it.
In episode 7, Sarah says, Jay's shifting statements to the police and how the cell tower information didn't fully match Jay's narrative. Jay's statements were constantly changing. We never fully get the real story. We do not know which he changed to the truth and which ones he lied about.
All in all, there was not enough clear evidence to lock Adnan Syed up for life. The state ultimately took the easy way out by supporting Jay Wilds. What the state did not go into detail enough is the fact that there is more evidence that Jay committed the crime than Adnan.
We both believe that Jay Wilds murdered Hae Min Lee in cold blood by strangulation on January 13th, 1999.